This is the only infotainment system that you're going to find inside of the Acura ZDX. It's Google-based, which means that you've got the PlayStore so you can download a bunch of different apps. But let's dive in and I'll show you what you need to know. You've got your volume rocker here. You could also push in the middle if you wanted to be able to mute out audio. On top of that, in behind the steering wheel along the right side, you can also adjust your volume this way by going up and down. There are also some buttons behind the left part of the steering wheel, and that's going to let you adjust out your different presets. And then along the outer part of the screen here, you've got a few different controls. So the bottom two icons there are locked into place, but the top four, you've got the flexibility to push and hold, and you could adjust it out, or you can swipe if you wanted to remove, and then you can just easily add these back in. So if you wanted your phone or any of these other icons there, you can adjust these four, but these two are locked into place. You've got your little split screen here, which you can kind of customize it a little bit. There's not much from a customization perspective, and then this is going to bring you back to your home page. If there are any notifications available, that would show up there. You've got a button push in order to get to your different lights, which we'll touch on a little bit later. You've also got your one pedal driving with different levels that are available, your connection level along with your current outside temperature, and then your time along the top right hand side there. And then you've got all of your different icons here, and there's so many different things. Vehicle status lets you do a few different things. So you can view your tire pressure, but you've got the flexibility to add these things to the display. So your trip counter, energy information, things like that. So if we look at our trip info, you can either reset it or add it into your display. So if we tap add to display, that's going to put that trip information into your display. If you remove it, it's going to give you your date and time. So if you want your date and time showing inside of the cluster screen, just add something to the display and then remove, and that gives you your date and time, but you can add any of this information right inside of the cluster screen if you want to. There's a bunch of charging information available here too. So you've got your next charge. So when you're plugged in, do you want to get fully charged up? Ideally, you're limiting yourself to 80 or 85%. If you're going to be going on a distance trip, go to 100%, but just to keep the battery in the best possible condition, 80 to 85% is kind of the sweet spot. Charge now, or you can have it charged later. So when do you want the vehicle to start charging? And when it starts charging, what time is it going to start charging at? What percentage do you want it to charge to? And do you want it to precondition on top of that? So benefit here is that you're essentially going to have the cabin preconditioned for you. So rather than wasting electricity, having the vehicle try to either heat up or cool down the cabin, when you're plugged in, you hop into the car and it's going to be nice and cool, nice and warm for you based off of that preconditioning charge. It's actually pretty useful. Back from there, you can tap your little settings icon to get to a few other options. So you can set a home charge location, gives you a few options once you do that. And you've got the option of removing, you can update, or you can select what type of charge cord you're using. Level 1, max 12, etc. So the benefit here is that whether you're level 1, level 2, etc., you can set different options here for your amperage. So whether or not you're plugged into level 1 or 2, if it's not fully charging up, you can adjust out your charge limit, which should, in theory, get the charge going if you're running into charge issues. If you're going for fast charging, you can prep yourself out. You can set your preconditioning temperature there too, so hot, cold, etc. when you're plugged in. And then you can also set a preferred charge time. Back home, next charge. So next time I'm plugged in, charging later. So I'm going to say that I'm going to charge at midnight, but I want to set it to charge now. And then it's going to let us know when it's going to be fully charged up. You've got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay inside of the ride too. So let's go ahead and actually start off on the Apple side of things. All we're going to do, tap on CarPlay, pair phone or phone list. So let's go ahead and pair phone right now. Because actually if we go back, CarPlay, if you've already connected, then you'd have your phone list here. So we just add a phone and we're just waiting for that to pop up. It has, there we go, PIN numbers match up. So let's go ahead and pair. Do you want all contacts and favorites to sync up? This is not my car, so I'm saying no to that one. Obviously, if it was your car, you could say yes. And you can stop here. So you're connected over Bluetooth as this pairs up. So you can make phone calls and you'd also be able to stream audio. But you've also got wireless Apple CarPlay inside of the ride. It is backwards compatible, so if you'd prefer to use USB, you can do that. So USB-C down there, but it's wireless. So let's just go ahead, use wireless there. There we go. And do you want to allow it to check for additional apps? There aren't any apps that are exciting as of right now. And let's hit OK. Perfect. And we're now connected right now for CarPlay. So we can tap here in order to get to our CarPlay screen. Back home, you've got your home screen for Apple CarPlay. So it's not going to go complete full screen. So you'll always have the side and the top bar there. But you can see your current time, connection, and battery levels. These are the apps that were last opened. So your last opened map, audio application, miscellaneous app, and then you've got your either icon view or your home screen there, which you can swipe across. This home screen is kind of customizable. So you're always going to have the map that was last opened. Your search and audio box will always be there. And if you have a calendar notification coming up today that hasn't passed yet, that would show up. If you don't have a calendar notification, search and audio would be stretched across the top there. So just 2 boxes. But you've got so many things. Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze are all fantastic apps. But the downside, no pinch to zoom capabilities. I'm a bigger fan of using Waze because along the route, if people notice that there are speed traps, hazards, things like that, people are pretty good at marking stuff like that off. And you can mark things off along the map yourself too. So pretty simple. You've got YouTube Music available with no YouTube video playback. So it's strictly music. VLC's there. Live One is a radio app. Hoopla is a library app. You've got different charging apps, podcasts that are available there too. And along the steering wheel here, you've got a voice command prompt. So if you just do a light tap, that's going to bring up the assistant for the vehicle. But if you take that same button and if you push and hold it, that is going to bring up your Siri assistant. So short button push is the one for the vehicle. Long button push is the assistant for your phone. And then you've got so many customization options here too. So you can go to your settings, put yourself into driving focus, but you can also adjust out your wallpaper. So if there's another look that works better for you, you're a bigger fan of different wallpaper options, you can change that wallpaper out. You've got different Siri options here too, but you can also adjust out the layout of the icons here. All you're gonna do, pull up your phone, go to your settings, general, and then CarPlay, find your vehicle. You can forget there's enhanced integration, but we want to customize. So you've got the flexibility of customizing this a bit. So maybe you want your podcast along the very top there. Maybe you're a bigger fan of using a different map application. So you can easily adjust these out. Anything with a minus next to it, you can remove it from the screen. So you can just easily remove. You can adjust out, add things back in. But if you're not a fan of what you've done, so the layout that you've created, along the top right side of the phone, you can reset, in order to bring yourself back to the factory icon layout there instead. You may have noticed we've got the enhanced integration here. So where that one comes into play. So if we just tap here, let's go ahead and search for a random location. We've got an active route going, but where enhanced integration comes into play, if you were to take this button along the bottom right side of the steering wheel and move into your maps. So this would typically be Google Maps showing, but now it's showing the Waze map right through the cluster screen. Well, I love that you've got that enhanced integration capability. If you're back on the home screen, you can easily jump back into CarPlay that way. Back home, if you go into your settings, I could have gone phone there, connections, and then phones, you've got the phone that's been connected there. So you can easily disconnect from CarPlay if you want to, and that's setting us back up over Bluetooth. So CarPlay goes over Wi-Fi, Bluetooth is Bluetooth for phone calls and for media, but CarPlay gives you all of the options. Then you can look at different options to forget, disconnect, etc. So pretty simple, but that's how you set up Apple devices inside of this ride. Setting up Android devices inside of this ride is pretty simple. If you go to your settings here, connections, and then phones, you've got this screen. So we're just going to tap plus. Let's go ahead and switch phones because we're changing the phones out. On the device here, we've got, just waiting for that to show up. There we go, maybe. There we go, perfect. Pin numbers match up, so let's go ahead and pair. And you can stop here. So you're connecting over Bluetooth, so you'd be able to either stream audio or make phone calls, but you've also got wireless Android Auto. But before we get there, it's asking, do I want to allow access to messages and contacts? This is not my car, so I'm saying no to that one. Enable there. So what we're doing is we're enabling Android Auto. Take a second here. Welcome to Android Auto. Just continue. And a few seconds in, we are fully connected there. Perfect. So we're set up. You've got Google Maps here. And then along the bottom, you've got your icon view, back to your little home screen there, along with a few other apps that are available there too. You can see your current connection level along the very bottom, along with your battery level. And then you've got Google Maps here. So you can hit this in order to go fuller screen, full pinch to zoom capabilities on the Google Maps side of things, which is great. You can tap here to get back to the little split screen or full screen again. And then on this screen, we've got Waze that's installed. But if you've got Waze installed on your Android device and it's not showing up, check down in the description of this video for a walkthrough on how you'd be able to add Waze onto your phone. Then you can also customize the layout here. On your device, just search for Android Auto, go to your Android Auto settings, and then that's going to pull you up to this option. We want to go customize launcher, and then you've got all of your applications there. You can do a drag and drop if you wanted to be able to adjust things out. Anything with a check mark next to it, you can remove it from the screen or you can add things back in. Now, in order for the icon layout change here to come into effect, you're just going to hop back to your home screen, go to your settings, connections, phone. You're going to disconnect from Android Auto, reconnect to Android Auto, and look at that. Hop back, and you can see there, the changes that we made have now come into effect. So simple enough, and then hopping back home into settings, connections, and phones. You've got both phones that have been connected. So you can either be hooked up to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, not both, and then you've got one phone or the other, so you can easily switch out. You can tap options to show first to connect. So if you've got multiple phones connected, who's it going to try to connect to first? Your connection type, Android Auto, or your Bluetooth media. You can forget the phone there too. So just forget. That's going to remove the phone, and same idea. We'll go forget on the iPhone and set to go. And that's how you set up Apple devices and Android devices inside of this ride. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto are now grayed out just because we don't have either phone connected. You can tap here in order to get to your camera view, which gives you a few other options. So you can tap this in order to get to either a front or a back view. Side, and then you've also got your top views, so front and back, your side camera views, so front forwards, front backwards, etc. And then back to your 360 view there. So you've got that camera. The camera quality is actually pretty good, especially later on at night. There's ambient light available inside the ride, and you can adjust out the upper or lower. So upper along the trim, lower along the footwells, and then you can also have it linked to your drive mode. So as you go to adjust your drive mode, it's going to change up the color scheme inside the car. You've got different climate options that are available here too. And one of the nice things, so your climate options are built into the screen, but you've got physical buttons along the very bottom of the screen there too. So you can easily adjust out this way if you want to. So for fan speed, adjust out this way, all of your different options there, heated, ventilated seats. And you can see as we adjust it down the lower part, it adjusts everything right through the infotainment system there too. Just gives you a few more options, whether you want to go digital or not. And one of the great things about it being digital, change the fan speed to 3.
Sure, changing the fan speed to 3.
You can control climate using your voice, and there are so many other things you can do with your voice. So change climate, you can adjust the temperature, you'd be able to change song stations, navigate using your voice, and things like that. It is a very robust system. There are a series of different audio options that are available here. So you've got related, so we're on SiriusXM right now, but if we go, AM, FM, SiriusXM, Bluetooth, all of these options, so USB stick with MP3s or other audio files, etc. Whether we're on AM, FM, it's going to work the same way. You can tune to a station this way if you want to. You can tune to a station using your voice. 102.1 FM.
All right, here's 102.1 FM.
So easily adjusting out audio that way. If you wanted to save in a preset, so if you want to, you can just push and hold in order to be able to overwrite there. And then you've got this screen, but this has the option of you being able to just tap here if you wanted to save in presets. So the icon here, you can just kind of make out the lower part is a little bit lighter, and that just means that the preset's been saved in. So you can adjust out. You've got a bunch of different preset pages. You can tap here in order to get to some sound settings, volume. You can manage your favorites there too. So it's a mix of AM, FM, SiriusXM. You can delete, or you can also reorganize. So maybe you wanted to have this one along the top. Maybe you wanted to have this one a bit further up. So you can easily do a drag and drop or hit the trash icon to remove your favorites. There's radio text and then your categories there too. So the radio text is that information that shows up. When you're in SiriusXM, you'd have a few additional settings there. So you can pause live radio. You can look here to see all of your different category views. So music, sports, talk, etc. You can hit this in order to do a tune to start. You've got your location service, nothing exciting there. And then your additional settings as well. So actually if we hit that, and let's go to our sound settings. What I'd recommend here, start playing one of your favorite songs, and while that's playing, adjust this out until it sounds perfect for you. What I generally find, something like this, where it's like bass down, or bass up, I should say, a tiny little bit, treble up a teeny bit, tends to give pretty good audio in my opinion. But play one of your favorite songs and adjust that out. And then you can also adjust out your balance or fade this way. You can do a fine tune up and down that way, bring it back to center again. But that's using audio inside of the ride. It's pretty simple. Google Maps is available here too. So let's review privacy. Let's just hit OK, go to map. Perfect. And we've got the option of searching for addresses this way. You can search using your voice. Navigate to Tim Hortons.
There's a Tim Hortons 0.4 kilometers away. Navigate to that one.
So I went to one that was a bit further away. So let's go to one a bit further away. So the reason why I'm doing that is because you've got this option now. So you can select different ways to get to that destination. You can adjust different things on the route. So do you want to avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, things like that? And then back, and you can start, or you could add in an additional stop. So maybe you also wanted to charge up the vehicle. You'd have that flexibility. So if we then search for charging stations, you can see what different stations are available. So let's just select a random one there. And then you can see there, coffee, and then going to charge up. If you wanted to charge up first, you could adjust out, so just do a drag and drop. So if you have multiple destinations you need to go to, you can keep on adding destinations in, tap done, and then start. And then that gets the route going. And one nice thing is it shows it in
Head southwest toward Henry Street, Durham Regional Road 45.
So it shows full map and cluster there. It's also going to show up in the head-up display. And then as you move into different pages, you'll be able to see your basic turn-by-turn directions there too. Well, I love that full map and cluster view. Beautiful. And then you could exit out. When you exit, you can either remove the next stop, or you could fully exit navigation. You can tap this in order to show traffic, satellite view. Do you prefer that view instead? You can adjust out global route options. So do you want to avoid highways, toll roads, or ferries, etc.? You can download offline maps. So if you're going somewhere where you know you won't have an active connection, maps would still work at that point. You can mute out different alerts. So do you want to have no alerts whatsoever? Do you want to just get alerts so when you're coming to an upcoming turn, it's going to chime at you? Or you could have a chime and then a voice. You can adjust out to different perspective views this way, actually. You can also shrink this. So if we tap that, it's going to shrink. You've got full pinch to zoom capabilities here. And then you could also sign into your Google account. So if you've been using Google Maps on your phone and you're signed in, it essentially would pull all of the information from your phone that you've searched for. So any addresses that you've searched for on Google Maps. But that's using navigation. It's pretty simple. There are a boatload of different controls available. So you could lock out the rear doors. You can also adjust up the head-up display. So there aren't a ton of options for the head-up display, but you could toggle it off there if you'd like, so completely off. You can adjust the brightness, which I always recommend maximum brightness. You can also adjust the height and then the rotation. So you can move it up or down and then rotate, so left or right, just depending on how you tend to sit on your seat. Ooh, I should have stayed in the controls there. Dome lighting, so you can turn on the overhead lights if you'd like to. You could lock out the windows. There's a hot button push to get to your cameras again. You've got traction control. So the only time you really want to do that, slippery, snowy conditions where you're not getting good traction, you could toggle it off. And then you've also got your high beam mode. So I always recommend keep yourself in auto high beam. I'll explain why in a second. There's auto park assist. So the vehicle can help out with both parallel and perpendicular parking. And then there's park assist, so the beeping that you get as you get closer to obstacles. So front and rear sensors. More controls gives you a bunch of other options. So you've got your door locks. So a few of these things are done a few different ways. And then lights. Auto high beam, keep on, and you're going to be in the auto mode the majority of the time. So what this means with your lights, you've got your stalk along the left-hand side, and when you pull in towards you, that's going to let you flash your high beams out. But we're in the auto mode and it's the daytime, so you can't permanently lock your high beams out. So auto mode means with the auto high beam is that if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed at night, turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, turns them off before turning them right back on again. But if you want to permanently lock your high beams out at nighttime in auto, you just push away to do it. But any other time, just go into your bottom headlamp mode there. And when you do that, push away to turn them on, pull towards you in order to turn them off. Like I said, you're just going to be in the auto mode there the majority of the time. So you can get to your lights a few different ways. Drive and park, same idea. Blind spot assist, you've got your auto park assist, again, helping out with parallel perpendicular parking. And then universal remotes. So if you've got a garage door opener at home, you'd be able to program that in too. So you've got your controls there that I've added in, your controls there. So, and then you've got some other basic ones along the top. And there are a boatload of settings, which we'll touch on last. Your phone, if one was connected, it's showing this because there's a phone right now on the wireless charge pad. So if we were to take that off, it's going to remove that icon. So you can see that little green icon disappear, put it back on the wireless charge pad, and it's charging back up again. Park Assist is there too. You've got your Google Assistant. You'll be able to change songs, radio stations, adjust climate, things like that using your voice. So you can use that. You could tap the voice command prompt along the steering wheel. There's a Wi-Fi hotspot that's available here. You do need to have an active plan in order for that to work. You've got your Acura OnStar link. There's the Play Store available here too. And when you sign in, you'd be able to download a bunch of different apps directly to the vehicle. So in order to be able to do it, so sign in, all you're going to do, once a QR code pops up, scan it on your phone, and then just sign into your Google account. There we go, now signed in. And from here, since we're signed in, you'd then be able to start downloading apps to the vehicle. And the benefit again is because we're also signed in. Now any maps that or any addresses I've searched for on Google Maps on my phone would now pull up here. But back to the Play Store, we've got Waze that you can download directly to the vehicle. So rather than running it off of your phone, you'd be able to download it and play it directly through the vehicle this way. And then you've got so many different apps. So if you want to download fuel, charging options, things like that directly to the vehicle, you could. Actually wonder, is that available here? No, okay. So there aren't any games that are available, unfortunately, but you've got a boatload of different apps that you can download directly to the vehicle. And we'll see that other app downloading as we go. News is available. There's Amazon Music and Spotify. And then we'll have that other app that we've downloaded in a second. And that means all of the available settings are up next. Starting off with connections, you've got all of your phones that are available. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto you can toggle off so they just wouldn't work. There's Wi-Fi networks, and then you could also get yourself into that Wi-Fi hotspot again. You've got a bunch of vehicle options. So audio settings, which we've already seen, so adjusting out your sound. There's adaptive volume, so as you go faster or slower, it's going to adjust your volume out. And then you can also manage your radio favorites from that page too. Drive mode customizations are available here, so as we switch out to different drive modes there, so you can move up or down to get to a series of different modes. So you're going to be in normal mode the majority of the time, but you can move into an individual. A sport gives you the best possible performance. Snow is going to play with traction stability control, but that individual mode is going to let you adjust out different things. So when we go to our drive mode customization, do you want your steering wheel to be sporty or normal? A sporty steering wheel means that it stiffens things up versus your normal. You have to throw a little bit more in order to turn the steering wheel. Same thing with your suspension, your brakes, acceleration. Sport is a heck of a lot of fun, but you use a little bit more battery in comparison. And then do you want to get a little faux sound as you go to speed up? Teen Driver lets you give limitations to your key fob. Rear seat reminder, if you've opened up the second row doors, turn the vehicle off. It'll tell you to check the back seats inside of the cluster screen. Buckle to drive. When you first start the vehicle up and you go to drive away, if you haven't buckled up initially, it won't let you drive. Eventually it will, but I'm just not a fan of that whatsoever. And then there's also your hands-free lane change. So inside of the vehicle, there are 3 different types of cruise control. So there's old school cruise control, so that's your regular cruise. So we push and hold that button there, that lets us move into regular cruise control. Now where that one comes into play, so let's say if you then set your speed at 60, car in front of you slows down, yours will not brake. So that's just something to take into account. But if you take that button and push and hold it again, that's going to put you into adaptive cruise control. And that's where this little distance indicator comes into play, so your gap adjustment. 3 unique levels. I'm personally okay at level 1 most of the time. You might want to be on 2 or 3 depending on your comfort level. And then you've also got your hands-free driving. So when it's available, there's a little steering wheel that'll pop up, a white steering wheel somewhere on the cluster screen along the left side. You then tap this button in order to activate it. This part of the steering wheel will go green, and then it's fully hands-free. So it can take you around bends, things like that. You don't have to worry about the gas and the brake. The car does everything for you. It's a phenomenal system. But you've got your lane change assist and where that comes into play. So 3 options. So off, turn signal, or automatic. With it off, you hit the turn stalk and then you manually change lanes to go left or right. With turn signal activated, you hit the turn stalk to go left or right. The car's going to check to see if there's anybody in the lane next to you and then automatically move you over. Automatic takes it up a notch and a half. So rather than you even needing to hit the turn stalk, let's say the car in front of you is going too slow, the car is automatically going to hit the turn stalk. It's going to change lanes for you to pass that slower driver. After it passes them, it's going to hit the turn stalk to go back into the lane that you were just in without any input needed from you whatsoever. It is a phenomenal system, but if you want a live demonstration of using the 3 different types of cruise in this ride, check down in the description of this video. You've got climate and air quality available here, so adjust your fan speed. Do you want your heated, cooled seats to come on startup, depending on the outside temperature? For your rear climate, same idea. Do you want it to be the same as the front or base off of what it used to be? Defog, defrost, keep those ones on. Collision detection systems, so you could change out the alerts that you get. Do you want the vehicle to brake for you if there's a potential collision? Do you want to get an alert? If it recognizes a pedestrian, do you want it to brake for you, which I highly recommend? But you can turn off all of these settings if you want to. The downside of turning off some of these settings is that you're going to get messages inside of the cluster screen telling you that there's something wrong. So you can see there your little icon, and that's just because you don't have the auto emergency braking turned on. So when you turn it on, there you go. It's going to remove that icon. So just keep these safety settings on. They're there for a reason. Lane change alert, nothing exciting there. Park assist with braking. So as you go to back up, if there's an obstacle behind you that you don't see, it can actively brake for you. Cross traffic, so as you're backing up, if somebody's coming perpendicular, so from the left or the right side, it can alert you, it can brake, or it can do nothing. Do you want to get a pedestrian alert? When you're actually in reverse, so if there's a pedestrian there, it would let you know. Let's see, comfort and convenience. There's easy exit vehicle height. So there is an available air suspension system in this ride, and as you go to hop out of the vehicle, it can actually lower it in order for you to get in and out a little bit easier. Your different volumes, you can adjust out whether or not you get the volume and at what level. Your liftgate can open up to 3 different levels. So maximum is as high as it'll go. You can have it off, so it's a manual liftgate, and then there's custom. There's a button along the liftgate door. You're just going to push and hold that one, so you adjust it to whatever height you'd like to, and then it's not going to open up past that point. There's hands-free access, so it can open and close using a swipe on your foot. Let's see, reverse mirror tilt. So if you want to, when you put yourself into reverse, do you want your driver passenger mirrors to tilt down? I'm not a fan. When you go to lock the vehicle, do you want the side view mirrors to fold in? Do you want your rain sensing wipers going and then auto wiper in reverse? So if you've got your windshield wipers going, you put yourself into reverse, it's going to automatically turn on the rear wiper for you. There's some cool lighting options. So ambient light, again, seeing these things a few different spots. And then approach and departure lighting. So as you go to walk up to the vehicle later on at night, you can get a nice animated look for the lights. I'm personally a bigger fan. It looks pretty sharp. With power door locks, when you go to unlock the door, so hitting one of the buttons along one of the doors there, do all doors become unlocked? Just the driver's door. And then delayed door lock as you go to drive away. Remote lock and unlock. When you go to unlock, you get feedback. But when you lock the doors, do you actually want to know that you've locked? I go lights and horn, but I'd at least say either lights and horn or at least a horn so you get some sort of a notification that you've actually locked the doors. See, when you go to remote unlock using the fob, do all doors become unlocked or is it just the driver's door? When you go to remote start the vehicle, do the ventilated or heated seats come on automatically? And then there's a remote window operation. And then, let's see, passive door lock, unlock, etc. But let's hop outside. I'll show you how a few of these things work. In order to remote start on the fob, what you do is push the lock button once and then that circle button twice. So just lock, 1, 2. You'll see there, lights pop on. So we are remote started. In order to cancel remote start, push and hold that circle button again. There we go. Now, you can use the key fob for a few different things. So you can double push here in order to be able to open up the liftgate door. You could also push the button just beside the backup camera there, or swipe in order to be able to pop it open instead. Now from here, you could shut the door this way. You can also adjust out the height. So if you wanted it at a different height, move to whatever height you'd like, and then just push and hold the button here for a few seconds. That gives you a chime, so now it's not going to open up past that point. You can push there to close, use the fob to close, etc. Then you can also use the key fob to roll the windows down. In order to do it, push the unlock button twice, and then you're just going to hold on the second press. You're going to go 1, 2, and hold. Release the fob now, and it's going to roll all the windows down. Just the windows, doesn't open up the sunroof. But still, it's nice that happens. And then to roll them back up, push the lock button twice and hold on the second press. So you're going to go 1, 2, and hold. Back up they go. So that's pretty neat. I like that it's window up and down inside of this ride. You've got your easy entry exit ride height. You're going to find easy entry exit memory. So what that's going to do, you turn the vehicle off, it's actually going to lower the seat, back it up for you to get in and out of the vehicle a bit easier. But there's seat memory here, so adjust your driver's seat the way that you like to. You can adjust out your steering wheel and then your side view mirrors. You tap set, 1 or 2 in order for it to remember your own personal profile. But there also is an additional tab along the outside of the driver's seat there. And by moving up and down, it's going to let you adjust a few things out. So you've got your cushion length, lumbar, etc. So your cushion length is the actual leg rest there. So you can have that go in or out. You can adjust at the back bolsters, so the sides of the seat, and then the lumbar for the seat on top of that. You've got a lot of options available there. You've got suspension options, so service mode, alignment, and then transport mode too. Notifications, if they were available for the different apps that you've got downloaded. You can adjust out the date and time, so do you prefer that military time instead, so 12 versus 24-hour mode. And then these are grayed out because you're in the auto mode. The only time I'd recommend getting out of auto time zone is if you live somewhere where you straddle a time zone and it constantly flips you from one time zone to the other. So you just deselect that and then select whatever time zone. And it's the same thing for the date and time. You can adjust out your display, so you've got a few different modes. So you've got either a light or a dark mode. Auto means it determines if it's in light or dark, just depending on how bright it is outside. Cluster screen, do you want to show your speed sign inside of the cluster? So if that was available, you'd have that information there, and it would be different on different views. So it's showing up in a slightly different spot. Now, if you want a full walkthrough though on the cluster screen, the steering wheel buttons, or the head-up display, you'll find that in the description of this video. And then your turn-by-turn graphics would be your turn-by-turn directions inside of the screen. Then you can toggle the display off, button push to bring it back to life again. Different sounds that are available. So max startup, if you have the audio cranked, you turn the vehicle off and back on. What level do you want the audio to be at? Do you want to get startup sounds? Yay, nay. Same thing when you go to shut the vehicle down. And then touchscreen feedback. So the beeping that we're getting there, you can toggle that off if you want. Different profile information there. So now that I've signed in my Gmail account, we've got that information. You can delete the profile there too if you'd like to, or rename as necessary. Privacy information's available there. There's an ads manager, so if you're using Google Maps built in, you might occasionally see an ad specifically for different places that you should be stopping. There are some accessibility options for captions. Your assistant in voice. Your assistant, you've got the option of saying, hey Google, in order to be able to pull up your voice command prompt, or hit the voice command prompt along the steering wheel, etc. Do you want to get your text messages played, some message summaries and things like that as they come in? There's some security information. So profile lock, you can enter a pattern, PIN, or a password. I highly recommend this, even if you're the only person driving. So you set up either a pattern, PIN, or a password so people can't just look through the addresses that you've saved or other things that you've got set up. System information is there, so you can adjust out to either English, French, or Spanish. You can adjust out to different types of keyboards. And the measurement units is the important one there. So either US or metric. So as we move through, you can see everything adjust out inside of the cluster screen, but even the climate down low. It's just one of the benefits of it being a fully digital cluster. You've got some reset options that are available. So you can do a full vehicle reset, and erase the infotainment data, etc., restart in safe mode. There is a way to do a soft screen reboot. I'll show you in just a minute here. You can see how much storage you're using. So as you go to download additional apps, those all take up space. And that's actually one thing I didn't show you too. You can adjust to the icons. So you can push and hold there in order to be able to move these icons into different spots if you want to. If there were updates available, it would show you there. So update history, preferences, etc. Then, if the infotainment system is ever giving you problems, so Apple CarPlay is not working, Android Auto's not working, it's frozen up on you, you could do a full factory reset. So under your system there, and then reset. You can restart in safe mode, which if you've downloaded an additional app, that might be the cost. You can start in safe mode to remove that app. You can erase the infotainment data, but that's the last thing you want to do because it's going to get rid of everything on the screen. So what you actually want to do instead, on the steering wheel, you've got this hang up button. So answer or hang up on a phone call. If you push and hold down, so hanging up on a phone call, you're going to hang on for like 10 to 15 seconds or so. So just keep on hanging on, and eventually it's going to toggle a soft screen reboot. So it's very similar to doing a restart on your phone. We're essentially just clearing the cache. you'll come up to this screen. So you can do recovery mode or factory reset. Do nothing. So just don't touch anything whatsoever. And after about 5-10 seconds or so, see the screen goes blank. There we go. And what we've done is we've entered a soft reboot cycle now. So that should get rid of any issues that you're facing. So like I said, Apple CarPlay is not working, Android Auto is not working, etc. That's what you want to try first. If that doesn't work, then you're going to go back into your settings there and then into system and reset. And then you're going to do that full infotainment data reset. So soft screen reboot first, hard reboot second. If that doesn't work, you'll have to take it into your Acura dealer. So I know that was a heck of a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the infotainment system inside of the Acura ZDX.